How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video where this time we are doing a tier list. That's kind of different for this channel, but I figured it'd be fun because Chaos Theory is out, which is the most recent project that is canon to the Jurassic franchise. So I figured what we could do is kind of get all of these projects together, and I can rank them and give you my basic thoughts about them, and then I guess we can all know where I stand with these different projects. Again, it's a little bit of a different video, but I figured it'd be fun, so let's just get right into it. We'll start off with kind of like the movies first, and then we'll move on to the two short films, and then we'll wrap it all up with the series, ending with Chaos Theory since it's the most recent thing. But starting off with Jurassic World Dominion. Dominion, I think I place in C tier. I only go up to D tier, by the way. There's really nothing, there's no Jurassic project that I think is like solely in F tier. So I think that, up to D tier is a pretty fair spot to place it all in, But Dominion I place in C tier, and it's definitely going to be one of the lower ranking projects that I have on this list. And, there's just, I feel like there's a lot of missed potential with that movie. I think there's a lot of things that they could have done that they unfortunately didn't take the opportunity to do. This movie was jam-packed with a lot of different prehistoric creatures, a lot of which were just brand new for the franchise and were just really awesome to see. We only get to see them really quick. You only get to see them for a quick little scene, and it's quickly just ushered on to the next scene. You don't get any time to breathe. The animals don't get their chance to really shine, essentially. They don't get their moment in the spotlight. There are things that I do like about this movie, which is why I don't place it down in D tier. In fact, I don't know if I will have anything in D tier, but there are things I like about it, and I have made a video talking about the different things I do like about it. I still do have fun while watching this film. There are some great things about it. It's just there's a lot of things that I feel like could have been a lot better. And, I'm someone who is really excited for the ending of Fallen Kingdom, where we have the opportunity to view different scenarios for this franchise, as in dinosaurs on the mainland. And, we got some of that in this movie, but then ultimately it was sidelined for the Biosyn Valley stuff, and of course the locusts and all that good stuff. So yeah, C tier for Dominion. Next up, we have Fallen Kingdom. Now, Fallen Kingdom, I think, is a solid B tier movie. I like it. I really do like the movie. There are some things I dislike about it, of course, and that's probably true for practically everything here. But there's a lot of fun to be had with this movie. It's one of my wife's favorite, and typically whenever she has something that she really likes, when we're watching these type of things, then I typically kind of like it. Then I'm typically more in favor for it. But because she really likes the kind of horror elements to it, with like the Indoraptor and things like that, the specific type of cinematography and framing that went into that. That's something that she's a huge fan of. And me personally, it introduced a lot of really cool dinosaurs to the franchise, and it was the one that said, hey, we're done with islands. We're blowing up Isla Nublar, which is also really depressing. Of course, seeing the Brachiosaurus pass on was really unfortunate. But they finally took that step and said, no more island stuff. We're going to do things off of the island. We're going around the world now. We're going to see different environments, different settings, and that's a great start for the rest of the franchise, I think, because beforehand you had to come up with excuses to get all of these people back to the islands. Now they don't have to do that anymore, and that's because of this movie. I mean, some of the Lockwood Manor stuff isn't the greatest, but for the most part, I think this movie is pretty good. Jurassic World is a solid A tier for me. I really, really liked this movie, especially back in 2015 when it first was released. I was 15 years old. The Jurassic franchise hadn't been around, or we hadn't seen any new projects from the Jurassic franchise for 14 years. And to see this as the reintroduction back into the franchise, I thought was great. I had so much fun watching it. We were on vacation in Texas when we saw it, and we said, hey, let's go to the theater. And we all went to the theater, and it was just a really great experience, especially seeing the brand new hybrid, which was different for the franchise and gave them an excuse to create a monster out of a dinosaur without turning any of the established dinosaurs into monsters. Something that they kind of lose in later films. But this one was really good. I'm not a big fan of the raptor training stuff, but things like Rexy being released and the music that went to that, I thought were really good. And just all around, it's just a really fun movie. If I have a lot of fun watching the movie, chances are I will gravitate towards it a little bit more. Is it the same quality as earlier Jurassic Park films? Probably not, but I still really like it. Jurassic Park 3, I am a huge fan of. I think I place it in B tier here. I do see a lot of the cracks, of course. I know that there are some pacing issues, there's character issues. These characters aren't necessarily the best in the franchise, but a lot of that is made up solely from the dinosaurs that are present in this film. This film probably has some of my favorite dinosaur designs in the whole franchise. I love the way that they look, especially things like the velociraptors. The velociraptors look so cool in this movie. First of all, you have some sexual dimorphism. The female looks completely different from the males, and the males just look really cool. They have quills, their colors are really fascinating to look at, and they're extremely unique in terms of velociraptor designs in the franchise. Not to mention, this movie is how I was introduced to the Spinosaurus. I watched this movie when I was 5 years old, and once I saw Spinosaurus in this movie, my favorite dinosaur shifted from T-Rex to Spinosaurus, and it's still my favorite now, and that's something I could trace all the way back to then. It's just, nowadays, it's my favorite for completely different reasons than what it was my favorite for, than why it was my favorite back then. And yeah, no, the dinosaurs are really what steal the show for me. Everything still looks great, you know, in the original trilogy. The CGI holds up extremely well. The practical effects are very well done, and you gotta love Sam Neill. You know, Alan Grant is always a win. Same goes for Dominion. It was great to see him again there. I didn't mention that, but yeah, no, it was great to see the original cast return in Dominion. So yeah, Jurassic Park 3 is a B tier. Gotta just swap these real quick. Now, we have The Lost World Jurassic Park. The Lost World Jurassic Park is easily an A-tier film for me. Love this movie. I think it is criminally underrated. I think it catches a bad rap. Is it as good as the first film? Nope. Is it still a great film? Heck yeah. This film, like, upped the ante a lot. You know, you have the set number of dinosaurs that appeared in the first film. This one is just like, okay, let's just put more dinosaurs in this. And everything still holds up extremely well, too. Everything that was great in the first film is also great in this film. Like, the practical effects look great. The CGI looks great. The characters are awesome. It just, everything about this movie, I think, is awesome and just really fun. I especially love the San Diego scene at the end. I know that a lot of people didn't like that scene, but personally, I do. I like how it's an homage to old Japanese Godzilla movies and things like that, and just looks really cool. And plus, on top of that, you have the buck T-Rex and the doe. Another example of sexual dimorphism. I just like when they put that kind of care and attention into their creature designs. Even if it's not something that's like brought the attention to, it's cool that it's present. Like, no one in Jurassic Park 3, for example, ever said, hey, that is a male because it looks completely different from this one, and that one must be a female. But no, it's still present. It's something that gives it more layers, essentially. It makes it feel a lot more real, like these are actual animals that exist. Plus, the Stegosaurus scene in The Lost World is really cool. And the Stampede. I always really liked the Stampede. I liked how there was dinosaurs that we don't really see too much of, like Pachycephalosaurus or the Mamenchisaurs. All around, really, really like this movie. And finally, in terms of the films, we have Jurassic Park, which is, without a doubt, S tier. I love this movie so much. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not just dinosaur movies, but movies. It's easily top 10 in terms of all of my favorite movies. And I'm a huge movie fan. I watch a lot of movies. Ever since I was a child, I was just obsessed with this movie. Everything is just so perfect in it. The CGI, I'm saying this a lot, I know, but the CGI, the practical effects, the actors that were chosen and their performances was great. I love Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. I love Sam Neill as Alan Grant. I love Laura Dern as Ellie Sattler. Of course, we got Laura the Brachiosaurus named after her back there. Got my hat caught on my light, but yeah. Richard Attenborough as John Hammond. Just everything about this movie is perfect. Seeing these dinosaurs on screen for the first time with such great CGI is always breathtaking. Like, no matter how many times I see that Brachiosaurus scene, it's just amazing. Every time. It's just so amazing to see. And I can rewatch it several times. The T-Rex breakout scene in particular is just so well made and kind of like a masterclass in how to build a scene. If you guys haven't seen well, I'm saying seen a lot, but if you haven't seen the behind the scenes footage of how they made that, constructed that whole thing, I highly recommend checking that stuff out because it is well worth the watch. Literally just no complaints. I know that there are issues with this movie. Not everything is perfect. There are a few things that are kind of left up in the air, like, you know, the shaving cream. That wasn't resolved in any future films, which is unfortunate. Of course, if, you know, it kind of gets resolved. I mean, well, okay, I say that, but we do see it in Dominion. But you know, you get what I mean. It wasn't like resolved in the later, like in the subsequent sequels. So this movie is definitely not perfect, technically speaking, but it's perfect in my eyes. You know, I love the movie. That's all I can really say. Now we will move on to the two short films. First with the prologue. Love the prologue, A tier. I think it is so well made. The CGI, the lighting, just everything about it looks really good. Now, of course, it's not accurate. There's a lot of things that don't necessarily match up, like Giganotosaurus and T-Rex living in the same time and place, or Iguanodon living in the same time and place, or Nasutoceratops living at the same time. There's a lot of things that don't match up. But I still think that this is so great. And this is a good example of how they should just like keep the Jurassic dinosaurs as the Jurassic dinosaurs. They don't need to come up with explanations of like why they look different to our real world understanding. You know, that I really don't like that Henry Wu line in Jurassic World, and that almost dropped it down a little bit for me because I just hear it quoted all the time. But the intention of the first Jurassic Park film was to make as accurate of dinosaurs as possible. Don't get me wrong, there were some creative liberties taken, like with the Dilophosaurus. But for the most part, that's what the dinosaurs looked like in the 90s, and they did a really good job at portraying that. Now, sure, it's not accurate today, and nowadays the Jurassic World films, they don't really try to do that. But just because they have like an explanation, in-universe explanation of why the dinosaurs look a certain way, doesn't mean that that deflects it from criticism. And that's one of the biggest things I get whenever I ever mention a design of a Jurassic creature. Someone always comes in saying, well, they're actually technically hybrids. And, you know, I just think that that's just kind of lame. Like, there's other ways to talk about these movies, and you don't have to talk about them in that strict way. Now, if you look at the prologue, the dinosaurs that are present here look exactly like they do in the future. Take the Giganotosaurus, for example. Looks exactly like it does in the future, and this one is in the past. This one's not a hybrid. Or the T-Rex. The T-Rex looks exactly like she does in the future, except she just has sparse amounts of feathers. And that goes for the other guys that show up. The Nasutoceratops, the Pteranodons, the Ankylosaurs, you know, they all look exactly like they do in the future. So in essence, that Jurassic World line was almost retconned a little bit, or either that or you can take it like Henry Wu is lying, because it would make sense for him to lie right there. He's about to lose his whole operation, his life's work. Masrani was pissed about the Indominus, and he was going to say anything he could to keep his work going, you know. And so I think I would say something like, I would probably deflect it like, oh, there's nothing in Jurassic World is natural. And yeah, a lot of that is true. Of course, they established in the first film that frog DNA was used to fill in the gaps. But I don't think it should be a thing that is used to deflect criticism on the designs. I just went on a whole huge ramble right there, but I do apologize for that. The crux of the story is, I love the prologue still. You know, like I said, the animals are not accurate. I think I got lost a little bit there. I think that this is just what we should be used as the establishment, that this is what they look like in universe. The Jurassic franchise dinosaurs do not look like the ones that we have in our real world. And that's fine. You know, I just think that they should commit to something like that instead of having it torn in a lot of different directions. And if people have criticisms of designs, that's okay. You know, they're allowed to be unhappy with the design, especially if it's a dinosaur they like. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Battle at Big Rock. Another A tier for me. These are all really high ranking. I think Battle at Big Rock is great. Battle at Big Rock is an example of what I was expecting to see more of in Dominion. It is just how we have to react to dinosaurs now existing on the mainland. These families, they just wanted to go camping, and you know, usually when you go camping, you're worried about bears or mountain lions or coyotes, or in some places wolves, but you're never worried about a flippin' Nasutoceratops that is then attacked by a flippin' Allosaurus. I like that. It's different. It's awesome. I think it's great. I think it's great. And the Allosaurus design was changed in this. You know, it is explained in universe after the fact that this is what it looks like when it's grown up, but it was a redesign, of course. And it looks great. You know, I'm not a fan of the osteoderms, but for the most part, it looks pretty dang good. I'm always a fan of the Nizudaceratops designs, and I'm just a fan of this short film as a whole. It never gets old to me. You know, it came out like shortly after Fallen Kingdom, and it was a nice kind of thing, like nice thing to help bridge the gap in between Dominion, in between Dominion, I guess, and Fallen Kingdom. Just kind of switch those. Anyway, now let's go on to the shows. Camp Cretaceous is very tricky for me, because I liked 3 seasons. The first 3 seasons I really, really, really liked. I thought that they were excellent seasons in the show, and they got me hooked really quick. Seasons 4 and 5 started to lose me quite a bit. There was a lot of experimental things happening with the whole controlling the dinosaurs things, or the robots, and I just wasn't a fan of that. The robots were fine when they were the dog-like robots, but when we got the dinosaur bipedal-looking robots, I didn't really like that too much. It was a little bit goofy, and I know that this is the perfect show to have stuff like that because it's just kind of its own tiny corner in the Jurassic franchise, but I don't know. I mean, it was great to see Spinosaurus in the final 2 seasons, and Smilodon. It was great to see those 2 things, but there was just some things that really, really started to lose me as the show progressed. But because I like the majority of the show, that being the first 2 seasons, I think I'll place it in a better spot. Or sorry, that being the first 3 seasons. I really liked season 3 in particular. I thought was great. Scorpius Rex, awesome. So let's place it in B tier. Solid B tier show. Enjoyed it for the most part, and yeah, pretty good. And now, finally, Chaos Theory, the most recent project in the Jurassic canon. I liked the majority of the show, the first season. Of course, we are getting more seasons. But the ending lost me a little bit. And that's mainly because of the revelation, or the reveal, that Brooklyn is alive. Because I had pretty much accepted the fact that she was dead by that point. You know, I was like, okay, chances are they would have reintroduced her by now. How wrong I was, but, you know. And I thought that was great, because we spent 5 seasons in Camp Cretaceous being conditioned to believe that these kids are always going to make it out alive. Like, they're going to make it out of any situation. And granted, they're not kids now, but you kind of go into a show that is essentially just another, like a sequel to that previous show, and you're kind of like already conditioned to that same mindset, like that these kids are probably okay. There's a lot of situations in Camp Cretaceous that they probably shouldn't have been okay from, but they made it out okay. And starting the show off with a death of one of them, especially a death where you show off blood and stuff like that, and it was decently dark for the show that it was in, and that really sets a good standard. It set a good standard that these kids might not be safe. And they're not kids anymore, but I'm used to 5 seasons of them. All right, you're kind of set up that they might not be safe, and that some of them might not make it out of this thing alive. For them to end the show with a reveal that Brooklyn is still alive, and granted, she did lose her arm. And that is a little bit of a consequence, and who knows where her story will go from here. Who knows what kind of role she's going to play. But I just felt it. I just feel like it felt a little bit cheap. Like, I mean, again, I have no idea what story they're planning on telling and how important Brooklyn is for that story. But I just kind of wish that it was in a little bit different of a direction than that. But the rest of the show was good. The rest of the show was pretty dang good. It had a darker tone. There were some awesome dinosaur moments. We got introduced to one of my favorite dinosaurs, Pachyrhinosaurus, in the Jurassic franchise, officially in canon. Beckelspinax, which is actually Altaspinax, but that's another thing. And Suchomimus, which all were awesome and all were great and all looked great in the show, along with the other dinosaurs that appeared. And we got more of dinosaurs on the mainland, which again is more of what I wanted to see. So I will place this in B tier. I'll place it in B tier because the reveal of Brooklyn's death was only a small part of the whole show, and because the rest of the show I did genuinely enjoy. I think that that's probably a safe place to put it. Will my opinion change when we get more seasons? Maybe. Will my opinions of these other projects change in the future, depending on like how many, or like if I revisit them and get more thoughts and things like that, or we get new projects to recontextualize them, yeah, things might change. But right now, this is my tier list. We have Jurassic Park in S tier. A tier is reserved for Jurassic World, The Lost World Jurassic Park, The Prologue, Battle at Big Rock. B tier is Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic Park 3, Camp Cretaceous, and Chaos Theory. And C tier is Jurassic World Dominion. I like them all. You know, Dominion's definitely my least favorite, but I do have a lot of enjoyment. I do get a lot of enjoyment from all of these projects. You know, I think they're all genuinely really good. I was thoroughly surprised with Camp Cretaceous with how good it was when I was watching it a few years ago. And for the most part, solid franchise so far. All varying different quality, I understand that, but all really good. Who knows where Jurassic 7 will rank, but for now, this is what we have. So how do you guys rank these movies? Like, what tiers would you place them in? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and a subscribe, because something like that really does help out. We have all kinds of prehistoric content on this channel. It's just a great little hub for that sort of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, then be sure to do that. And I hope to see more of you. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.